All right, good morning and welcome once again to Cool TV. My name is Dr. Banjo. This is Crossfire. This is your political platform where we discuss topical issue, controversial, current affairs, and we just ensure that we try as much as possible to give and get information across to you so that you can be informed and be part of what is going on in the society. Democracy is not a government for one person. It's the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. So Nigerians are expected to begin to get involved in government so that we all can unified and together we can move Nigeria forward. I'm not alone in the studio, and Ishoma Againe is here with me. And in the course of the show, we'll be introducing our guest today to you. Ishoma, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Good morning and welcome to Crossfire today.
All right, we will be looking at a very critical issue today on Crossfire, and that is talking about leadership in Nigeria. And then the big question will be, what is wrong with our leaders? How come Nigeria just never got leadership right? Now, this is not common to us as a country in Africa. Africa is a very big continent, and for you and for me, you can remember the likes of the Robert Mugabe of this world, this Thomas Sankara of this world. You remember the great Idi Amin of Uganda, and then you can go on and list the likes of Samuel Doe of Liberia, and you see that all of Nigerian leaders and compared with their counterpart in Africa are probably not the best that you and I may want to really emulate. So on the show today, we'll be talking about Nigeria. Matters arising in Nigeria, and that is leadership crisis as it borders around our politics, our democracy, and it's so unfortunate that this is what we have today. You'll remember the APC senators throwing punches at one another, in the House a few hours ago. And then you remember the NLC leadership crisis that never really ended well, where you have a Waba and an Aremu really trading words just because of position. Now, all of these are things that really bothers the mind. And Ishoma, my question, and for people who are watching us at home, is that let's talk about our leaders. What exactly is the problem with Nigerian leaders? And then we can start in our analysis to compare them with other their counterparts in Africa, and then we can look at it holistically. What exactly is peculiar to Nigeria as a country? Why we never really got leadership right? In your opinion,
but the truth is, there are several reasons why Nigeria has not been able to get leadership right. I think one of the first problems is the followers, the people, because the people have treated these leaders as gods, forgetting also that they should be accountable to us because we put them there, we elected them, we made them represent our own interests. So if you're having an individual who is playing God in your life and you're so scared to be able to speak out the truth, to be able to make them accountable, then what do you expect? You only end up having wrong leaders there. Leaders who do not have the interest of the people at heart. Leaders who their aim is just the position, the name, and the other financial benefits that goes through it. That's why you see leaders without character. You see leaders who do not have, love for the people and love for the job, rather love for the money. For example, let's compare it with advanced societies. You see presidents, whenever they have some scandalous issues at, trailing their government, you see them stepping down honorably. But in Africa, you will even see them telling you to your face that they do not give a damn. Why? Because they do not have they do not have the proper leadership training. They do not have the interest of the people at heart. But the thing is, if we had, followers or Nigerians who, at the end of the day, if they understand the enormity of the position that particular individual is occupying, the position or office that person is occupying, they'll be able to tell them this and this and this are the things you should do. And for the fact that you've done this, then we need to get you out of it. So the problem largely rests with the people. Now,
I don't want to, I slightly differ from your opinion. Not because I'm looking forward to a controversy, okay, but I just have a thought.
Sure.
And this is it. A leader, first of all, who was a follower, A leader, in the first instance, at a point in time in the history and in the time of life, he was a follower. Leaders are not...
But it depends on the kind of follower, a good follower or a bad follower.
No, it does not matter.
No,
but at a point in time, at a point in time, he was a follower. I mean, every individual born into this world were people who at a point in time never were adults. All of us started from being children, and at a point in time, and don't forget, the very first government or the very first environment where governance is practiced and you are a governed person is actually in the family. Now, so when you get introduced into the family and your family culture and tradition and belief system is eroded, the reason why I believe that, and that's why I said in the first place, that leaders are first of all followers, and so they should always realize that at a point in time they were followers and there were people who were leading them. So at a point in time, let us establish the fact that when you were a follower, like you said, were you a good follower or a bad follower? Do you understand? Now, or who exactly led you? Who was your mentor? You, when you were a mentee, who was your mentor? Who was your role model? Many of us who probably embrace peace and we try as much as possible to be very, not political, but to be very diplomatic in our dealings with people and offices that we have had opportunity to occupy. We have done it because my mother loves integrity. My father is somebody who is a disciplinarian. And so my values were actually were inculcated to me by my immediate family. So I can see leadership or a leader in my parents, first of all. You see, because when parents did not and does not at any point in time create an environment where your children can be thoroughly grounded and rooted in values, your family values and your societal values. I
completely agree with you, but I have seen individuals who grew up from shabby homes. Let me put the word shabby in the sense that they were never, taught rights, principles, and morals. But because of the society they found themselves in, they were able to adjust. They were able to conform to right living, and that also helped develop their leadership skills. That's why I said earlier, because I'm not taking away the fact that leadership, the first call of leadership, starts from the family. That's very true. But the society, and that could also be your church, your school, because we're talking about a conglomeration of different individuals. The rules and regulations, the policies existing in that school, in that church or mosque, or even in that community. Those are some of the things that also inculcate. But when you have people who do not care, when you have followers who will even tell you, I'll make it steal, let him or her steal, others have been stealing, why shouldn't he steal? Now that becomes a norm. That follower has also given the leverage to other followers who are also listening, who also aspire to be leaders, that I can get there and steal. Because others have stolen, I can steal and I will get away with it. All
right. Now, let's put this in a very quick perspective. I have a triage. I wish I actually put it down in a drawing and we can show it so that people can relate with it very well. It's a triage in the sense that it's a 3-circle separated by lines, okay? And then you have the people, you have the tools, and then you have the processes. The people, the tools, and the processes. In every leadership example or leadership diagram, you have the people sitting on tools, and then you have processes guiding them, which is the rule of law, where we talk about Nigerian politics or democracy. Now, when you talk about the people that we eventually find who have become leaders in the history of Nigeria today. We talk about, the Nnamdi Azikiwe way of Nigeria. We talk about the Obafemi Awolowo, the Tafawa Balewa. We had people who at one material point in time have been, our heroes. The people that we were looking up to, the people who formed policies, the people who sat in some region of our country and they were able to promulgate and establish some certain things that we can make a reference to today. Now, so when we talk about the people, we're talking about those people that by virtue of education, opportunity, election, or whatever it is, we had them, in the forefront. And then another thing is talking about the tools. The tools is, what did these people ride on? What were the things that they actually rode on back in the days that make them famous? Who was Nnamdi Azikiwe? He was just a boy born into one family, but he rose to become like a famous Nigerian that we can relate with today. The likes of Obafemi Awolowo, or the likes of Olusegun Obasanjo, all the people that we have had who probably have steered the leadership of this country at one material point or the other. Now, the tools are such that these people, they had the education, they had the exposure, they had opportunity to be where government can be discussed or governance can be discussed. At a point in time, they were followers, they became leaders, people started following them. And so you have a particular tool, and when we talk about tools, we're talking about, okay, maybe electioneering process, maybe a selection process from a party point of view, or a class of, a union or an environment where you have an opportunity to say, this is the next person who is going to lead us in this particular role, and all of that. And then you have the processes. Our processes, our policies, our procedures, and the things that we give to the people that eventually were selected by the tools, and these are the things that is supposed to guide them when they find themselves in office. And that is the problem we have today.
But you know, at the end, all of this you said, I completely agree with you. But the truth, at the end of the day, despite the policies, despite the tools, the people are the umpire, in the sense that whenever you see a leader, whenever you see an individual who has deviated from the core policy and the core value which they ordinarily should follow, the people should be able to address them.
Now, I am saying that, and that's why I'm talking about this triage. This is why I'm talking about the
I'm talking about the clerics. Also, they have roles to play.
How come, Ishoma, good people, fantastic, I mean, when they were
never
growing
find
up, they were
themselves
doing,
into power.
When they eventually get into, how come they just become bad?
No. It's look.
How come they just suddenly become bad?
I understand the Holy Bible.
Did you hear anything about Goodluck Jonathan before he was, before he came into government? No. A gentleman in one corner in Bayelsa who has been living his life jejely and, no problems. Do you understand? And then suddenly he came into government, and then values were eroded, consciousness and, positivity when it comes to what you dish out to people or the kind of life you want the people around you to live. All of those things disappear.
There's something I strongly believe. There's something I strongly believe. The people within that community, they get the kind of leaders they deserve. Okay. That's it. Now, so if you see an individual, if you see someone who was supposedly good before, was he camouflaging as a good person?
Maybe
just
not.
Probably to get favors.
I think leadership position in Nigeria is very cancerous.
It happens.
Very cancerous.
But do you know why it's cancerous at the end of the day? Yeah. The people and the policies. That's the reason why.
Exactly. That's why we're talking about the processes. The offices they occupy.
The people and the policies. Look, I don't care the kind of offices. I don't care how cancerous those offices are. If you have people who are now politically aware, if you have people who are who are aware of their rights, their obligations, and their duties, look, the truth is, they will be the ones to enforce and make sure that the leaders, those of them who represent their interests at the national, state, or local government levels, they will become accountable. That will be you expunging that cancerous nature from those offices. Let's look at our local government. How many people ask, our local government chairman or the leaders at the local government levels what they do with the funds they get?
Let's even start from the ward level.
Let's even look at our schools,
Let's start from the ward level. A local government chairman sits in one particular area, not covering all the necessary words within the local government, within the locality, as it were. So you have councillors who probably are just, in charge of a few words put together, and they say, okay, you are in charge here, you are in charge here. And then you begin to look at it very well. Come to think of it, what is the relationship of the state government with the local government chairman? And then you now, allow it to come down to begin to look at it from the context of the relationship of the local government chairman and the councillors that are under him. Do you understand? And then when you look at the level of leadership, you begin to wonder what exactly is the aim and the objective of putting these structures in place in the first place. And don't forget that when a people are in one place or gathering to achieve a purpose and there is no direction Most of the time, our leaders in Nigeria are directionless. They are visionless. So when they get into power, that's when they start to think. And unfortunately, Nigeria is too big than anybody. If care is not taken and you do not have a vision, a clear-cut vision written down, well articulated, the type that you can immediately, execute when you have that opportunity. And that's why I keep blaming PMB today. I keep blaming PMB, not because I don't like his person, not because I don't believe in his ideologies and in his character. I strongly believe, but I think that he gave me an impression that he did not do any paperwork before he was sworn in. I may be totally wrong, but this is the perspective, or this is the perception that I have, because when I look at what has happened since the time he was sworn in as the president of Nigeria, I haven't been seeing so much activity. Shehu Garba came out to tell us, okay, you should understand the antecedent of the president, you should understand the way he works. That was how eventually Tunde Idiagbo became more popular than him in 1983. And that is because of that kind of nature. People believe that Tunde Idiagbo actually led Nigeria then, even though PMB was the president. Was the head of state as at that time. And I'm telling you, a people that you are governing have a right to ask you questions. Questions are not, they are not to kill you. They are just for you. People want clarity. People want clarity. He should have spoken with us. He should have told us, give me time. He should have told us, this is what we are working on now.
Well,
it's going to take time.
He asked for time. Actually.
Which time? It was just a blank statement.
We recall he asked for time that shaping and changing Nigeria as Nigerians deserve would not come overnight, but Nigerians should be patient with him and he will deliver. But I'm not making any statement or excuse for him, but the truth still remains that accountable leadership rests solely on the people. When you have people who can look, let me give you...
Where do you put our societal values? Where do you put our societal values? Where do you put integrity? Where do you put integrity?
Permit me to give this personal example. I attended a military secondary school. And one of the core values we were taught was discipline, accountability.
Exactly.
Now, after that, I grew up with that because I also grew up, my parents are strong disciplinarians. So if I grew up with that nature that for every little thing, every little assignment you're giving, you should be able to give feedback reports. You should be accountable for all your activities and actions as regards that assignment. Now, this is a young girl who has grown up with such value. And now I find myself during my NYC days, there was something that I was expected to do, and I had some group of intelligent individuals, and we did it. And because I was entrusted with some funds, do you know what I did? That was one of the things my mother taught me. If I was given some amount of money to do some certain things, I know what I did. I broke down everything. Okay, I got this so and so and so. I put it down. This was the amount. This was how much I spent on this. I detailed everything. With all the expenses, even the excess, the change which I had, I presented it and I gave the lady, Ma, this was what I spent. Look at the breakdown and look at how much excess, and the woman looked at me like, what are you trying to insult me? I was stunned. And she said, so you're trying to tell me that you're a good girl? I said, Ma, no. You gave me money to do something. This is not my money. This money belongs to
someone.
And the woman made me, I actually felt terrible because she told me to get out of her office. Why? Because I did what was right.
Okay.
Now, that's why I say at the end of the day, the truth is some individuals, we may have good values. People may have been trained well. Some of these leaders we see in office today may have had good training and upbringings, but the society at the end of the day
has made them who they are right now.
That is it.
All right, the society has turned our leaders to who they are today. When we come back, we'll actually be looking at values, societal values, the type that we should see in leaders in Nigeria or in leadership in Nigeria, as it were. We'll be talking about ingenuity, we'll be talking about inventions, we'll be talking about integrity, accountability, reality, objectivity, and we definitely will be talking about discipline. How much of all of these qualities do we have in Nigeria leaders today, and what should we do to ensure that these qualities are present in our leaders and we ensure that they are displayed and deployed in governance when they get into office? We'll go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll still be talking about Nigeria, especially as it borders around our leadership. We'll be right back.